I was bored, and I wasn't even the one watching. I was doing the stuff. Okay, I had to go get a different knife. I thought I had a stronger knife, sharper knife, and I did. Here we go. This thing sliced through this big leg of lamb, and even some of the bone. So, I think I have the proper tool for the job, finally. So let's give this a try. That second round is actually still on the pan. We're just gonna, look at that. Wow, I have been putting up with dull knives for so long, I just didn't even realize it was that. It was so bad. So bad. Alright, that is, I was kind of going crazy. Alright. This should go a lot quicker. Wow. Wow, guys, I can't even handle how sharp this knife is. This is amazing. My knives have been so dull for so long. There's nothing like this. Nothing. I mean, you saw it. Maybe you didn't see it. Maybe you don't want to see it. This is the first part. We're doing a two-part here. And depending on how long the little one sleeps, well, we might have a part 3. Alright, look at that. Wow. Is this how sharp your guys' knives are? Are mine the only ones that are dull? Do you sharpen your knives? I've had my knife sharpened once, and I feel like even when they were sharpened, they weren't this sharp. This is insane. This is like a cleaver, though. Maybe, I don't even know what it's called. Alright. I also took my broth out. It's sitting right there. Although, you know what? I should take more out because, like I said in part 1, I'm gonna can. I'm not gonna. I might fill. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna take a guess. 4 to 5 jars. I'm certain it will not be more than 5. 5 jars, and that'll be enough. That'll be all the lamb. So I will just do broth. Even though lamb will take a lot longer to process, I think pints go for about an hour and 25 minutes. It's quite a long time. And broth only needs to go for half hour, something like that, 25 minutes, I think, for pints. But you know what? I would rather my broth get cooked for a lot longer, canned for a lot longer, than have to go back and do another canner round, or just have non-full canner for the lamb. So that's what we're going to do. We're just working in batches here. I finally feel like I can make some progress with this knife upgrade. All right. There we go. And if you missed the part 1, my goodness, I don't know if I should even put that up. Let's see how dull my knives are. I'm really curious, though. I really want to know if I'm the only one that just has extremely dull knives and that's just ends up being what you kind of live with forever until you realize how bad it is. Okay. This bone is coming right through here because I cut it with this knife. So let's see what we can do. Oh yeah. It's almost feel like filleting. I've filleted a lot of fish before. I have not done a lot of like red meat cutting. Now you can get this off. There we go. Wow. Well, eventually we'll get to the canning. It still is taking a while, so I apologize about that. don't know. I have not canned meat before besides this aside of yesterday. Like I said, it's right there. Ground beef. And it turned out great. I thought it was a really easy canning project. There wasn't, you ground the meat. Brown the meat and oil the jars. Although, I did make the broth the previous day. Do you guys see how smoothly that just came off of there? This is like a dream. Alright, got a tough piece here. Something that's so hard about working with stuff like this is just slipping everywhere. And this should probably go. What do you think? Ooh. Alright. Getting some really nice pieces here. I'm starting to tunnel. When I was working with, the kid scissors. Wow. You guys have dull knives, I'm not even kidding. Go get a new knife. Even just one. This thing is saving my life right now. Like totally saving so much agony. Look at that. This is part 2 of part 1. If you saw the first part, you would see what a difference this is. Wow. Okay, so we're just making some browning our meat. I have opted to brown it because I think that we would prefer just the difference in flavor. I canned beef stew, gosh, a few months ago. I did a video on it, and I opted to brown the meat as well. But you don't have to. It can be as simple as just putting it in broth and going with it. So I actually used cube steak to do the beef stew, and the texture was awesome. I don't like cube steak because it just sort of feels like a falling apart steak, but not quite a hamburger. So I was really not pleased to have all that cube steak in my freezer. However, canning beef stew with it was just amazing. To the point where I would almost get cube steak again with a beef to be able to make it in beef stew. All right. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, man. Okay. This is tricky. I mean, I know butchers really know what they're doing and they spend a lot of time practicing, but and I'm also thinking that, okay, so this is a leg of lamb. I'm thinking that if you were just butchering a lamb and we're not going to be cutting a leg of lamb, you might not cut it in this way. You probably cut it differently before it was in this form. Also, if you didn't see what I was talking about at the beginning, this is a really expensive cut of meat, like really expensive. Not only because it's a leg of lamb, but because of where I got it. The farmer that we bought this from, they just do an amazing job on their farm. The animals are treated so incredibly well. They are raised in such a natural way. Okay, but I don't know how to cook this in a proper way. I've made one. It turned out okay. However, I don't want to waste this. And this is, it might seem like a waste to can something like this, but for me, it's a waste not to. I know we're going to eat it, like this. I know we're going to enjoy it after it's been pressure cooked and pressure, ran through the pressure process. Look at this. I am ahead of the pan. All right, couple more rounds and we're done. Ooh. And you'll see me tossing scraps over to this bowl, whether it's a bone or like a piece like this. Ooh, I'm going to put it all in broth. It's all going to be good stuff for broth. It's all going to help that broth flavor and turn out really nice. So that will not go to waste either. I am trying really hard to avoid waste in my kitchen, but I will admit that it is difficult. And I wouldn't say that we waste a lot of food, but it's more than I'm comfortable with. It's something that I'm trying to work on. So, okay. Also, I wish I could visualize what I'm looking at here, like how the bone structure is. I feel like that would really help. Oh, that was so dense. That's actually still not frozen. I was thinking that I was running into bone, but it's just frozen meat. Okay. Wow. That's almost completely frozen there. And also, I sound congested because we got real sick with the big one a few weeks ago, and then our house got a cold on the heels of it. So I have been continually congested. So sorry about that too. I don't get allergies too bad, but oh my gosh, I feel for the people who do. My husband does, one of our kids gets it really bad. And to be this congested all the time or frequently would be really, really hard. Wow, look at that. That's coming apart so nicely. Wow, this is becoming a really kind of gratifying experience. And I'm actually able to kind of see now with the bone that I was just telling you I wish I could visualize it. Now it's showing itself. Okay, again, I feel like I just cut into bone. Yeah. That's not frozen. I guess I should have titled this video Cutting Up Lamb. I sure hope we get to the canning process before the little one wakes up. Wow. Oh my gosh. If this is still slightly frozen, it's so easy to cut. Wow. All right. Wow. I am just blown away. I can't quit raving about this knife. My goodness. I had it packed away in our garage because I wasn't frequently using it. But I am not putting it away. How do you guys sharpen your knives? Do you take them somewhere? Do you have one of those like foam sharpeners? I know we do somewhere, but I feel like whenever I've tried it, it's just not been effective. I think I need to do some research and brush up on my knife sharpening skills. I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's looking so great. So another thing I mentioned in part one, if you're here for the first time, is I am browning this meat because I think our family would prefer that extra flavor that it gives to brown the meat before you can it. When it comes to meat like this, cubed stew meat, you know, whatever. And whether it's lamb, beef, you know, elk, any kind of venison, whatever it might be, it's all the same with regards to this process. When it's in this form, you don't have to brown it. But from what I understand, when you have ground beef, it's better to brown the ground beef, which I probably would have done anyway if I had the choice. But I think the recommendation is to brown it first, and the reason for that is when you have raw ground beef and it cooks together, think of like a hamburger patty, it becomes more dense. And when you're canning, part of the process of canning is getting the internal temperature of your jar up to a certain temperature in order to adequately inhibit the growth of different enzymes and bacteria and things like that. And if your ground beef is becoming a more solid mass as it cooks, that's going to make it a lot harder. Alright. Ooh. Like, seriously, if you saw the first part of this, you would see the ease with which I am able to cut. And it is kind of fun to be able to cut something when you can actually cut it. And again, all those knives, that spread of knives that I had out trying to figure out how I could cut this, that's our normal selection of knives. That's normal. So the fact that this is working like this, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be doing something. I don't know if I need to get new knives. Those ones are about 15 years old. Or, I don't know, like I said, I had them sharp. I had the big one and one of our small ones professionally sharpened. I don't know if serrated knives can be sharpened. Can they? I don't know. But the straight edge ones, like this one, can be. Although sometimes, depending on what's going on in this joint, from what I understand, that can be a determining factor on how sharp your blade can actually get. I don't know, is that true? I don't know. This is just all stuff I've heard from people. It's not based in scientific research. Wow. Oh my gosh. I could stand here all day and do this. Right, I need to turn my pan up. My meat is just turning cooked color. I want it to sizzle. Okay. Bone. Is all this? Is that joint or is that meat? Alright, that's gonna stay there. Our kids are singing in the background. They're just having some free time. We homeschool, and so they've kind of done their stuff for the day. They actually had, in our state, for homeschooling, you're not really required to report a whole lot of stuff toward the state. Although one of the mandated things is that you need to have your kids get an annual testing, just like you would if you were in public school. Okay, that meat's starting to singe some more. So today actually was the day that they had their testing. So they kind of got a day off from the other stuff because of that. Okay, there we go. So this actually had, it's kind of like the moisture from the lamb that was carrying over from some of this other stuff. I think my estimation is going to be right on. Wow, every time I cut through something smooth, it's really quite nice. And it's not what I'm cutting, it's what I'm cutting with that is so satisfying. I mean, I could be cutting tomatoes, and if I have a knife that's allowing me to cut through without issue, cut tomatoes all day. All right, I think I can pull this meat off. I need to improve my ability to find a tool to match the job. Look at this teeny little spatula. Okay, the reason I like this little spatula is because I feel like I have a little bit more control over what I'm doing when I use it. But when it comes to a job like this, maybe isn't a good matchup. All right. I think I might have heard our little one wake, so we might be signing off. We're going all in here. Speed to the end. And oh my gosh, how much more difficult it was with those dull knives, just like on my hands and my wrists and stuff like that. It is just hard. I've been having an issue with my left wrist. I'm left-handed, but I've been having an issue with my left wrist and like my thumb joint ever since I started canning this year. And I actually think I might have created the initial trauma to it trying to get my hands in wide mouth pint jars because I am double jointed. And so my thumb bends right as I get it into the jar. So I get my hand in there and I wash around. But if you've ever tried that on older jars, especially the ones that say Perfect Mason, it's the worst because they have a slightly smaller like mouth. And I think it's because it's so thick there that the width of the jar at the actual mouth opening is so thick that it takes up enough space. So anyway, that's where my initial pain started, and then it's just kind of continued. Anyway, not that you needed to hear that, but this is just a big ramble class. This is okay, you guys, this is the moment. These are the last couple chunks. Oh, don't run away from me now. You made it. Well, I made it. I don't know if you're still here. I made it. Okay. I'm going to clean up. I have such a small kitchen. It's going to take me a second. Okay. Raw meat just grosses me out. Ah, there we go. Sorry, that was just all on Hi, Digging for Help. Just wanted to pop on and say hi. Thank you. All right. Get some of these out of here. I'm going to get that in the bag right now. I don't have one big enough. It's downstairs, so that's going to have to wait. Okay. We've got our canner right on the front. Let's back you up here. Okay, right here. Got the gauge on still from yesterday, but it's been washed. Don't worry. I think I'm going to put it on like a medium heat, just so it's not cold when our jars go in. All right, the meat in there. I'm going to wash my counter here. Kenny used to make me so nervous, and I felt like I had to be so much more careful. And not that I'm not careful, but I felt like I had to be overly careful. And what's interesting is that, well, I find it interesting, I don't know if you will, is that when I was taught to can, a lot of the recipes were done via what's called open kettle. Which, if you saw my, sorry, this is bouncing around. If you saw my open kettle pickle video, that's how I was taught to do pickles, as well as pickled beets. Just those two things, actually. But that was what I learned on. I learned on pickled beets, and my grandma did not process them in the canner. However, the way she canned, it emphasized the method, and you just have to be a lot more meticulous when canning like that. Let's see. That's my water. Or do I grab more than 5? I'm gonna grab 6. Let me double check my recipe. This is all you need. I was just here yesterday. Low acid, chopped meat, lamb. Okay. Sear the meat in the skillet. Okay, salt is optional. Hot pack, 1-inch headspace, same as the ground beef. Hour and 15 minutes. 10 pounds of pressure. So I've actually found some recipes that vary a little bit for me. When I did my beef yesterday, I found a recipe online that said I needed to go 11 pounds of pressure. Not that it's really that big of a difference. Sorry, this is jiggling. Because when I can, I don't like to have my pressure gauge right at the pounds that it says to put it at. If you do the same thing, please let me know, because it's something that I do to kind of buffer in a little bit of security, more or less, because once you build your pressure up in a canner, you're supposed to hold it there for a set amount of time. But if it dips below that, you're supposed to start over your time. So if you've been going for an hour and 15 minutes and you need to go for an hour and a half, and it dips below the pressure that you're supposed to use, you're supposed to start from 0. And so I would prefer to be, if I need to be at 10 pounds, maybe like 11, 12 at the most. Sometimes it gets a little closer to 13, and then I really know to pull back the heat. But if I have to start over again, and I can play with the temperature, but as long as it stays up, I play with the temperature. So I hope I'm not the only one that does that. I can't imagine that I am. Okay. Oh, fun. This says to serve chopped meat. Use canned chopped meat for casseroles, baked hash, and stuffing sweet green peppers. I don't know that I've noticed that before, that they had a suggestion in there. I love that. Because that's how, well, I was thinking casseroles, okay? I was thinking, this really nice tender meat. I gotta get going here. Really nice tender meat. I was thinking, enchiladas. Is that a really bad way to use this type of meat, canned meat like this? Oh, there was something else that I was thinking. What was that? Oh, okay. So when we got this lamb, I mentioned this in the first video. If you haven't seen it, you're not missing much, except me struggling to cut meat for a long time. When we got this when we got this lamb, we got 2 lambs. We got one that we gifted to family almost completely. We almost completely gifted the whole thing. And the second one we kept. But, so it came with all different kinds of meat, the leg, shoulder steaks, chops. I'm trying to think of all the cuts. There was a shoulder roast in here. That was the first one that I was going at. And then the leg. So anyway, there was a lot of stuff. And then there was some ground lamb, which of course is the only way that I had previously cooked with lamb. And so we use that in like shepherd's pie and stuff. So delicious. So delicious. Cottage pie would be shepherd's pie made with beef. It is, in my opinion, nothing like shepherd's pie. So we just completely savored that ground lamb. But I was thinking, I wonder how I could maybe, I'm going to try, of course. I'm going to do a shepherd's pie made with the pressure canned ground lamb and see how it turns out. Let me know if you would like to see that on video or live. Maybe I shouldn't be doing lives. All right. Okay, got a big pan here. I'm going to get broth put in. So I know there's some fat on the top of this, but if I put it through the filter, or a strainer, or, like anytime I do anything with meat, I'm washing stuff so many times. I love meat, but it really grosses me out. All right. I'm going to make sure I have enough broth. Gosh, everything is so wet. See, this is the kind of stuff that you edit if you're not live. And when you haven't done one like me, it's rocky. Okay, got that in there. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Gallon. You know what? This lamb back here, I think it's going to be fine. Even though it's not searing. Oh gosh, sorry. Even though it's not searing, it's kind of like pulling. I don't know. It's pulling up the fond and whatnot from the bottom of the pan. Beef out of here. Here we go. My small scooper. This way, I was actually going to put some broth in this pan to pull that up, but this meat kind of did it, so. Ooh. Oh, that wasn't one piece. You know what? I'm just going to put broth in here. Hopefully that doesn't get too messy. Great. Now these were different levels of doneness. Hold on here. I'm getting distracted. Of course, that spilled. There were different levels of doneness of this meat, so I'm just going to kind of toss it around a little bit. Mix it. I got new ones of these. Well, similar to the scissors, you guys, I was using this little kid one. But I kept using it because I like how small it is. Is that weird? I'm going to scrape the bottom a little bit. Okay. Well, it has not yet rained, but it's still very cloudy outside. Okay, this is going in the oven. Darn it, there's something else in there. It's going on the stove. All right, I'm gonna crank this to high to get this broth really hot. And then, oh boy. Oh my goodness. Anybody still here deserves an award. Okay, cool. So after I can the lamb, I'm just going to can the rest of the broth. So we're going to do 2 rounds today. Again with the washing. I like to have my stove as clean as I can get it before my canner starts, because when the canner starts kind of dripping and going and it's just doing its thing, it can create a mess, and if there's anything like left on the stove, it can be super hard to get off. So taking a second to clean before you get the canner going, good idea. All right, let's start filling the jars, finally. Okay. Here we go. That is not going to be 6 jars. Do I go with my hands? No, it's too hot. Have a good measuring spoon right now. All I have is 1/3 cup. If I heap it, I bet I can. I don't know. Do I use salt? Do I not use salt? Do I salt it? Yeah. You guys, you are bouncing all around. Okay, that's what we got. 1 inch headspace. Oh wow, can't even see it. Okay, 1 inch headspace, which to me 1-inch headspace on these jars is basically the bottom ring here. And then I go 1/2 inch to the sort of the start of the threading. Is that what it's called? 1/4 inch, I would maybe do halfway past the start of the threading. It's kind of how I do it, but I'm sure everybody has a different way of figuring that out. Wow, you guys, I have become so enlightened during this video on some pretty major gaps in my kitchen. Okay, so sharp knives. I can keep working here. Sharp knives, measuring spoons, adequate size measuring spoons. I mean, yeah, when I bake and stuff, because our measuring spoons have, like, broke so slowly, it's like, oh, well, my 1 cup measuring spoon's broken now, so I'll just use my 1/2 cup twice. Okay, well, then your 1/2 cup one loses its handle, and you're like, well, I guess I'll still use it. And that's how it goes. Well, you guys, we're getting 6 jars. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, so sharp knife. This is my list. Sharp knife. Maybe picking, I need a bigger spoon, like well, not a ladle, but like a big serving spoon, like a lunchroom size thing. That would work for like grabbing meat out of the pan, something like that. And then the last thing, okay, I'm forgetting because I'm distracted. All right, I'm gonna pull maybe a piece of meat out of a couple of these that look a little bit fuller. All right. There we go. Okay, get this out of here. I like to use my liquid measuring cup for putting in the broth whenever, or anything liquidy. Okay, so we're still waiting on that that broth to boil. In the meantime, we'll get our other jars over here. I'm going to check on the canner water. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that looks good. It's just kind of building a little bit of heat, but not too much. Boil, boil, boil quicker. Okay. Well, I mean, at this point, it's just filling the broth in. Putting the lids and rings on. Let's see if there's anything happening in the chat. I doubt it. Gosh. Just digging for help. Okay, cool. I appreciate you saying that. That's so nice. Come into my train wreck here. Okay. What are you guys having for dinner? I was thinking about doing like a barbecue chicken situation. We'll see how it goes. Jar grabbers. So, like I've mentioned a few times, I canned meat for the first time yesterday. I'm going to show you again because I'm so excited and so proud of the jars. Again, I was not expecting this to be so much fat line there, but I mean, I see it in other people's jars, so I guess that's normal. You can meat. Is that normal? Please let me know. Do I need to throw my meat away? But I noticed one thing. I like to, okay, so I have seen this. I used to always just wipe my rims with super hot water. And a lot of that is because I would always have a kettle going where I would sanitize my jars and things like that. Again, going back to how I was taught to can and how methodical it was. So there was always a couple of pots on the stove with super hot water where I could dip some towel in and wipe the rims. I've seen people using vinegar, and just for the first time this year, I've become aware of that. I don't know why. So I use vinegar, and that is especially appealing for this project because it's meat. Excuse me. And from what I understand, it can help kind of cut away the fats that would be stuck on the rim. So I actually have two. I'm going to go over it twice. It's probably not going to be as big of an issue, but with the ground beef, it seemed to be really messy. Kind of a messy project when it came to filling the jars and things. So there's lots, kind of, I don't know, on the outside, on the rims, whatever. So I'm armed with two. Here. Now we just wait. I'm trying to think of anything else I would need. I don't think I need anything else. A few dishes away. That broth is so close to boiling, it's just gonna be another minute here. Although, you know what? Let me check. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't need to be boiling. Maybe it just needs to be hot because it's definitely hot. Oh, it says boiling. Boiling water, boiling broth, and then it says pack meat and liquid into hot jars. Okay, well, my jars actually are not hot. I hope that's okay. But my meat is and my broth will be. Although I would hope that they don't break. Especially these ones. Why don't I... You know what? I think I'm going to set the jars that have not been filled with meat in my canner here. That's not a good idea. They're just tipping over. Wow. Okay. They're just falling. Well, they're hot now. We'll just hope for the best. You know what? I'm gonna just set this in here for a second. This is what was in the oven. Why I couldn't put the other thing in there. Because this worked great for the meat. When I was working with 11 pounds of ground meat yesterday, as I browned it, I just put it in here, put it in the oven, and it stayed warm. And I actually had to leave the house for a couple of hours and then come back to the project. But it was no big deal because they were hot. Great. Alright, I'm getting my oven going. We'll just kind of... Probably doesn't need to get quite that hot. Well, the little one didn't wake up when I thought he did, but I think I might hear him again. I think I'm just hearing things. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We got some lamb on the wall. Ooh. And then another thing I've started doing that helps me is to put my lids in my rings and just kind of leave them sit like this. Oh my gosh, there's more. Jeez, I had meat flying everywhere. Anyway, that just makes it easier for me instead of having like a pile where they just kind of get shuffled all around. Whereas this way, they have their own spot and they can just kind of stay there. All right, this is the world's longest boil. Let's see here. So when I canned my beef, I actually was able to get almost 2 pounds of meat in each quart. And everything I read, including in the ball book here, says £1.25 to £1.50 per quart. So when I tried to get a full canner of 7 jars, I only got 6. That's okay. But it's good to know for me going forward. But the thing is that it used the same amount of broth. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I packed them differently and then it would use less broth. But it didn't. It used the correct amount of broth. So I don't know what was up with that. 1 to 1.5 cups. Okay, so it doesn't differentiate. Pints and quarts on that. All right, move you over here. Here we go. All right, this broth, excuse me, is boiling. So I'm just going to pull that off. Okay, that's turned off. So I think a lot of times the advice to do like hot jars, hot water, broth, hot food, and they would advise you to also put it in a hot canner. It's just so that there's not too much temperature difference between one thing and the next, because these can crack. I have had very few issues with jars cracking, but I did this year. I had one crack. And it was because my jars were too cool and my canner was too warm. Okay, so I'm just gonna debubble. I guess this is pretty much debubble most things. Something that I've not always been the best at doing, to be honest. This year I've been good about it. But prior to this year, it's a step that I normally just opt out of. It's not that I don't forget. It's that I just feel like I don't want to do it. I'm not sure why. Okay, my oven is now at 220. So that's going to be good and hot. I'm not even sure that debubbling brought our jars down too far. Maybe just a teeny bit more. Okay. Yeah, I really don't think that it needed to. Okay, let's see. Let's wipe these first. Because my hands kind of have some stuff on them, and I want to. Before I put my hands in my oven mitts, I want to have them clean. Brutus, what you doing?
Oh yeah.
Looking for scraps?
I did it.
Great.
I did it.
Say hi, Woody. Just a second time around. I was really surprised to see the ground beef jars were so dirty after coming out of the canner. I always wash my jars after they've cooled down. I had a really big issue with some peaches one time where I didn't, and they were very sticky, and I put them on my shelf because I didn't know I was supposed to do that. And so mold started growing on the outside of the jars, and I kind of freaked out about it because I thought that I did something wrong in the canning process. Well, it turns out I didn't. I just didn't wash them when they were done. But the meat jar, that was just, they were oily, and anyway, all of that. So I don't remember where I was going with that. Sorry about that. Okay. Wow. You know, when I'm done filling these 5 pints, I'm not going to have a whole lot of broth left. I might just freeze it instead of do more in the canner. I don't think I'm going to have much left. Oh yeah, those jars got nice and hot. That hardly took any time at all. That's a great way to keep them hot. I'm going to do that from now on. The nice thing about broth is that you don't have to debubble it. Perfect. Oh yeah. There's not even a quart left. Okay, which got me thinking maybe I should switch a couple of these out for quarts, but no. Can't switch tracks again. Okay, check my headspace. I need to adjust a couple. I always like to get to the level of the counter, so I'm looking at it straight on and not sideways. That is something that I actually learned in home ec, of all places, when I was in school, to do with liquid measuring cups. So I always do it, and I do it for my headspace too. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's maybe 3 cups of broth left. So we'll do these rims. Canning takes a long time. When I do canning videos and they condense into, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes, there is so much cut out because just, you know, it may be boring, it may be slow, but it's still part of the process. The fact that I even did a little bit of preparation before I came on here. I washed my jars and got all kinds of other stuff ready. A big truck going by. Well, the school bus. It takes a long time. And sometimes I feel like condensing videos doesn't do a project justice. Sometimes I watch recipe videos and I'll see them and they'll be flashy and they'll kind of go through and make this food. But when you see it, that's a lot of work that someone put into that video, and you see it in 30 seconds and then you flip through and you go to the next one. And I think that is such a waste, and it does not. I hope I can get 11 jars in my canner. I just realized that I was making an assumption that I can get 11 jars. I think it's 11, as long as it's regular mouth pints. It might be 9, but I think it's 11. In which case, we'll be doing 2 rounds, and I'll can that. Anyway, you know, it's like it's throwaway content, and someone put a lot of their time into that. Not just the filming of it, but the timing, making sure that the environment that they're filming in is somewhat clean and put together. Because if you want to see what's behind the camera, it's this and that. That's a mess. Okay, my son did empty the dishwasher, so that's clean. and completely empty. But I haven't done my dishes, or we haven't reloaded. We've got all that mess from the canning. This is clean, but it's just sitting here. This seems to go downstairs. I mean, that's a mess. But this is what it looks like over here. Isn't that nice? But people put a lot of work into videos, and honestly, that's why I have such a hard time. Whoa, I'm sorry. That's why I have a hard time with Instagram, because it is also throwaway. And I think that it devalues people's time, the time they put into something. And it's pretty unsustainable for me. And YouTube is hard. YouTube is borderline unsustainable, because it's a lot of it too. The editing process can be fun, and it's kind of nice to do different things and make it look, a little bit more put together than this video. But yeah, I that's one of my big see, now I don't know where to put this. All right, it's gonna sit here for a second. It's one of my big things with social media, videos, all of that. Is like, I don't think the people who aren't creating those videos, I don't think that they realize how much time goes into them. That's someone's time that they're taking out of their life to create content. Especially the ones that are done well, where someone really tries to pack in the value. And me personally, I feel like that's kind of the most important thing to do, is to try to pack in value, so that when people are watching it, they feel like, they're getting something out of it. Wow. These are just... Okay, watch my camera just like drop right in the middle here. Oh, jeez, did I... Okay, hold on here. Has to be 11. Has to be 11, right? All right, so we have an issue in a canner here. I hope this doesn't break. There's too much water. These jars cannot be submerged. I don't think I can get 3 jars in the center. Man, it's hot. I'll do 2 more. Ooh, my arm. 2 more. The steam in there is out of control already. Okay. Oh wow. I guess we've got 10. That's all right. Okay, you guys, let's get this lid on. And I'm not gonna keep you here for an hour and 15 minutes while this processes. Squeaky. Okay, so this will get put in a wide mouth pint. I've got a bunch of them stored up there. I always keep them up here because they're easier for me to grab. Right up there. And they have lids on them that have been used for canning, so that they can go in the freezer. Ooh, sorry. As well as the rest of this. And I'm guessing that will... the wide mouths actually take less liquid. My neighbor taught me that. Well, that's neat. Alright, so I'm guessing like maybe 3 jars will go in the freezer, but we got 4 jars of broth that'll be shelf staple, which will be fantastic. Although, you know what? If the broth only has to go through the canner for 25 minutes, I might run it with just a couple of jars. I'll think about that. But we'll end this here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. listening to me ramble, struggle, find a really sharp knife, find a list of things that I need to take care of in my kitchen, and while I do some canning of lamb, of meat. This is my second meat canning project. I'm super excited about. I asked a lot of questions, and I really, truly, honestly am interested in answers, advice, things that you might know. I don't. Talk to you later.